Council work session, February 15th is called to order. Roll call.
Susan Skiris,
Here.
Mike LaFredo,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Here.
and Teresa Harms.
Here.
The main function of this particular work session has to do with council level SOPs. You've all seen them. You've looked at them. I think discussion is in order. If anyone has anything to say, I don't think this is necessarily a vote. It's consideration of it and discussion. Dennis, you want to make any comments on that?
The only comment I want to make is that I have nothing to do with this.
That's appropriate.
When the investigation report was finalized and came out, there was some interest communicated to me to look at the SOPs. And so to start that ball rolling, Aaron and I got together and we looked at the most recent version that was done by the attorney that was not adopted. So I passed that on to you to see what the thoughts were that something was not pursued. And then now you also have a number of different versions going way back, I think, to 2010 that Aaron was kind enough to dig out and send to me. The most current version is the one that's dated September 3rd, 2019. So with that, this is purely a council-driven issue. And if you want to amend the current SOPs for some reason, I'm sure Aaron, and she's present this evening, I'm sure Aaron could draft up something. And, you know, Mike has proven himself to be quite the drafter of legal language as well with the last version. So I leave that up to the council.
I have one question. On the current document that was submitted, which was staff report, city council, February 1, that was consideration of updates. On page 15 or 106 of 115, item B, it says mayor vote. It says mayor may vote to break a tie vote on motions not involving ordinances, resolutions, or appointments made by the council alone. Just questioning.
What's your point, Dave? What's your point?
Well, normally the mayor doesn't get to vote on anything.
Right, okay, I understand, yeah.
So
Good.
this was saying that I could, or the mayor, whoever's in this position, could do certain things.
Okay,
And
good.
that would be a change that I think we would have to make further changes at some point. I don't know, Aaron, Matt, that was one thing that stuck out.
Yeah, I didn't know about it.
Well,
And
think it would
again, I
always-
think the intent of, this is Matt, of Dennis and Aaron is to get you guys some different forms to look at. That is something that is in some of the SOPs we have. But to the mayor's point, that would also, if you decided to do that specific thing, it would require a change to your city ordinance. We're certainly, to Dennis's point, we're not recommending any of these, but we're providing these for you with the understanding that you can have a discussion to update these if you want to, or keep them as is if you'd prefer that as well.
Can I just, I don't think I need to remind everybody because at least 4 of us on the current council were part of the discussion on Mike Jones's revised SOP. And it was a very favorable discussion because it was much briefer and to the point, and it was more user friendly, and it was more common sense. And so Mike did a heck of a job on that. And I think we were, you know, I can't speak for everyone, but I think it was pretty favorably received. And I thought we voted on it, but apparently we did not. So
Well, I
Deb,
think that, Mike, did you request, Mr. Jones, did you request this? So if there, are you suggesting changes? Are there changes you'd like to have?
Is legal making any sort of recommendations at all?
No, Mike, we were not asked to make any recommendations. So no, we have no recommendations to make.
Okay.
Mike, did you have any changes? You requested the meeting, so I'm,
Going back to an email that I sent, and I guess I don't understand whatever happened to this language that was included. Dennis, you sent this to us back in, there was an email that was sent by myself on August 20th, indicating, at least addressing contact with city staff. Presumably the point of that was to, I guess, Dennis, you kind of have this, I don't want to say policy, but formalize this policy. I know you weren't around then, but that's what this was. And to, essentially try to create a barrier, not to restrict, but to give the impression there should be no direction or even the appearance of direction by a council member to city staff. And I don't know whatever happened to that language. It apparently never made it into the draft we voted on.
so
So
if
if
you look at,
all things considered, if legal isn't making any recommendations, then okay.
It's very simplified, Mike, as I, just from a common sense standpoint to very limited number of pages versus all the rhetoric that's included in the one that we were using. And so it's cleaned up a lot. It's cleaner, it's easier to understand. And I think when things are easier to understand, there's more compliance to it because you understand what the intent is. And so I was very favorably impressed with it because of its simplicity and still said what it needed to say with regard to communication with staff. And that's why I think it is very worthy of a motion to adopt it at some point. I know we can't do it now.
Well, no, it was adopted.
I
Right.
thought, yeah,
Is that the 7/11/2019 one, Mike?
No, the September of 2019 document.
Okay.
so I know that art largely, I'm sorry, Mike, were you done? My
No.
apologies.
No, I've interrupted you probably twice now. Please go ahead.
So after we did it the last time, and I looked at all sorts of other, cities, other cities. That's what I went ahead and did this time as well. Thank goodness I saved them all. Make sure I have the updated versions, but ours is largely modeled after West Des Moines. Almost verbatim works for me. I think to Mr. Lafredo's point, it's simple, it's easy to understand. It's not, it's 8 pages or whatever instead of 30 pages or 25 pages or whatever. And so I think it serves its purpose. It met our needs, and unless we have recommendations for changes or updates or a purpose, I think we largely should probably look at this, every year, every couple of years, or every time we have a new council elected or something like that, as a way to decide whether or if there's a need, like right now. Then we look at it and see if we need to make changes. Otherwise, I think it serves its purpose, and I think it is consistent with how other local councils are operating. So one option, I'll stop there.
doesn't there need to be a resolution, Mike Jones, to approve it though?
No, it has been approved. This is our SOP.
Okay, why did Mark told us it was never approved, remember?
I don't know what Mark was referring to. He might have been referring to the fact that there was some proposed language that didn't go into it. But the document from one of the documents Dennis sent us was actually the
Right.
current approved SOP. It has been approved.
And that's the one that you submitted earlier.
Correct.
Okay, well, then what's the problem?
Well, Dave, I'm sorry, what were you saying was there was a conflict with the city code, potentially?
Who, me?
No, no, in the SOP, there might have been a conflict with the city code.
This was when I was looking at the one that was consideration of updates, which is the one that just came out on February 1. That was the one that I saw made a comment in there that I didn't think was, we'd have to change an ordinance in order to put that in there. That's why I raised that one question. That's my comments, because the rest of it is up to you, but that one pertains specifically to the mayor and the functions.
It's not our current.
Pardon?
I just said it's not our current SO procedures.
I would suggest we just start using the one approved and not throw in these other drafts of it or past ones. It's pretty simple to me. If we approved it, then it's already used. I was under the understanding that it was never approved. I was corrected on
It
that.
was approved. It was adopted on 9/3 of 2019. And if you review it, we have not necessarily been following some of the things, some of the members, but maybe just a refresher for everybody.
Mr. Mayor,
Go.
I think that the SOP that was adopted by the council in September 2019 speaks to a number of the issues that maybe Mike alluded to earlier in the meeting. But the final version did not have the specific language that I saw that Mike was recommending that had to do with direct contact with city employees. So one thing I wanted to say about that is I think I've made it pretty clear to each one of you the expectations that I have for direct contact with city employees. And if you don't remember, I'll say them again, that I think it's a matter of necessity that council members will have to speak directly to employees, whether you're asking for information or whether you're just, posing a question that you heard from a citizen over the weekend. That's completely fine, as long as you keep me in the loop and I am aware that you're talking to my employee. My employees also have the same directive. If a council person contacts them directly, they are to let me know that that conversation happened and what was discussed. And I think that's just a good way of doing business so that we're not all just, we're not sticking a flag in our territory and calling it good. We all have to get along and we all have to work together. So unless that system breaks down, which it possibly could, then the council should at some future date consider more stricter penalties or more stricter rules with their SOP if the council proves that it can't live within that teamwork frame. Okay. So I think we're in a good place today. Everybody seemed very receptive with what my expectations were when I started in this position. And I think it's worked very well over the last 6 months. So unless somebody says it hasn't, then let's keep going the way we are.
Yeah, Dennis, the only thing I would say from the way you started off, it's our employees, the city's employees. And so you supervise those employees, but they are the city's employees as you are. And so that's the only difference I would say on that. You supervise them, and I agree with what you're saying, that you need to be informed and contact their request that we make. So I'm not doubting that part of it, that question. It's just kind of a technical thing. I mean, you're a city employee as the other ones are.
So move to adjourn.
Second,
Roll call.
You guys are too fast for me. Okay, Skeeries,
Yes.
Mike LaFredo,
Yes,
Mike Jones,
Yes.
and Teresa Harms.
yes.
Thank you, folks.
Good night.
First of the month, if not sooner.
Stay warm.
Well, it could be later though, Dave.
See ya.
Bye, buddy.